Hi everybody, Bridget White here from Elizabeth Grace Gardens, and I know it's been quite a while since I've really posted anything. If you didn't already know, I'm pregnant with our 5th child, and probably the last because this has been kind of a rough one. So I've been really pretty sick for the past couple months, so I'm super behind. So I apologize if anybody was like hoping to see anything in particular and didn't. But now we're over halfway through the summer, it's the end of July, and I figure maybe something fun would just be to do like a little tour of our main garden, which I always think it's fun to see other people's things. So here we go. So here's just walking up to it. I have a lot of, I guess you'd call cottage garden flowers. Some I have to weed, obviously, but a lot of phlox. That's like the pink ones. I've got a lot of lilies. I had a lot of pink roses and bright orange lilies at the beginning of the summer, and these are purple irises that are faded back now. You know, and just all sorts of fun stuff. There's grapevine growing over the whole thing. It looks a little bit sad this year because we had to replace the entire fence last year. So this year it's trying to make a comeback. But let's go in the gate here. So a real quick overview, and then I'll kind of walk you through it a little better. And I didn't go in here and clean anything up, you guys, because this is kind of how it looks normally. But over here, I have a lot of asparagus coming in, and we've got onions and broccoli and peppers and celery. In the middle of one, I've got a lot of cabbage, a lot of Swiss chard, more cabbage, and some herbs. This is like my worst bed. It always gets the least attention, but I had a lot of chives. Those come back every single year. I never planted those. They just come back. Our sage comes back every year. And then these I kind of need to go through. This is more Swiss chard. I have a lot of, this is cilantro, you guys, coming back. And I should just pull it at this point because it's flowering, so that means it'll be bitter. But that reseeded itself from last year, and it just came up all over the place and is kind of taken over. The broccoli's kind of done. As you can see, we picked really all of it 3 or 4 times. There's like maybe a little one on there still. So we'll pull those and replant some carrots. This, we pulled all the lettuce that was in there. I did leave one back here that's really sprouted and bolted up. I'm hoping it flowers soon and drops seeds so that next spring I won't even have to plant it at all and it'll just be there. So anyways, so we have to replant some carrots in there. Over here I have squash. If you can believe it, this is only, I think, 3 or 4 plants. That was it, 3 or 4 seedlings. And it's just taken over. It's butternut squash. I think I've got a regular and I've got an early butternut. But they're just kind of all over the place. And I've been trying to tame the vines to grow over the sides. That's what they look like now. They'll be ready this fall. To trail over so that they kind of don't take over the entire garden. And they also really like it. Pumpkins and squash and melons love to trail down on this dark gray gravel because it gets so nice and warm. But in here we also had some carrots, which are just getting overtaken by the squash, but that's carrots. I've got some little peppers. They're so tiny and the kids planted them. And I don't know if they'll produce this year or not, but I've got a couple little flowers on there and I didn't want to get rid of them because they were so proud. Lots more peppers in there, jalapenos and bell. There's some bells in the back there coming in. Lots of tomato plants, and you guys, this is like our sad garden story of the year. So we left for vacation a few weeks ago, and I noticed right before we left that I had leaf spot on them. So it's like, here, let me try and show you. So see, all these leaves are like turning brown and like, see all these spots on here? Or even just turning yellow. See how they're just spotty? That is because, I think, because they were getting watered in the afternoon instead of just in the morning, and the leaves weren't drying out, and so they would stay wet overnight, and they would start to grow a fungus called leaf spot. So I sprayed them as soon as we got home. You can see it really hit these ones in the front harder. These ones in the back I kind of got to in time. But so they're still producing tomatoes. I don't think they'll produce that much more this year though. And they look so sad. But there was our tomatoes. Here's more peppers. Here's our eggplant. I've got, I think these are Black Beauties. Those are kind of fun. They remind me of something from a Dr. Seuss book. What else do we have in here? A couple different varieties. I'll go on the other side too and show you. Here we've got some pumpkin seeds that the kids planted. They flowered out a lot. I think we had a little rabbit in here because a couple of the little pumpkins got knocked off. Or it was a kid, I don't know. But I do have one sad, lonely little guy down there that we're hoping turns into a big old jack-o'-lantern this fall. Here's our another kind of eggplant. These are called Fairy Tale, and these I obviously purchased from the store. They're little tickets, but they won't get a whole lot bigger than that. Maybe about 4, 5, 6 inches. And you just cut them up and saute them. Usually that's what I do with them. Like with zucchini or with yellow squash, they're pretty good. Here's our back bed. These are beets down here, which didn't get started as early as I would have wanted just because we had such a late winter this year. I mean, I didn't plant anything in this garden until like a month after I had started planting already last year. So we were a month behind, and then I was kind of sick the whole month, but I think it's doing okay despite all of that. So beets, I've got some sunflowers we just replanted in the back. We had something else back there. Here's our beans, a lot of pole beans. We got some purple ones. I don't know if you see these little purple flowers. So those are always fun. And we call them magic beans because you pick them purple and then as soon as you cook them, they turn green again. So they're like color changing, kind of. Here's some more. These are the bush variety. I think they're called Royal Burgundy. So these are almost ready to be picked. But I have a lot of bush beans down in the front. And again, bush beans don't need any staking, you guys. You can just grow them. And pole beans, obviously you want to grow up a pole. So it'll say that right on the packet. So we can get them next year. But we have a ton in there. This monstrosity dies down to the ground and comes back every single year. That's horseradish. It took me a while to figure out what that was. Let me just walk by all this. And you guys, I literally will cut this back every single week. It's like mint. It will just try to take the whole thing over. So if you have horseradish, plant it somewhere that's not in your main bed because it will try to take the whole thing over. But in the fall, when it starts to die back, you can dig it up and make some really yummy horseradish sauces, or you just use it as a spice. Let's see, here I have nasturtiums. I think that's how you say it. They're little flowers. These are edible. They taste kind of peppery. You just put them in this, in a salad or something. They're real pretty, and they're yummy. And then we've got our zucchini here. I've got a couple little guys coming in. I don't know if you can see them. Little zucchinis coming in. We picked some big football size ones the other day when we got home from vacation. And then I've got cucumbers going all over the place. These love to trail down the sides. These are great for raised beds or even containers these will do well in. And I have all different kinds. Let's see if we've got, I feel like I've got one. Oh, there's a little surprise one hanging down that the kids missed yesterday. Most of the stuff that was in here, my kids picked every single thing they could possibly pick over the weekend, which is great, which they love coming out to do it. I love that they like to do it, and then they're 100% more likely to actually eat their vegetables because they grew them and picked them. So they actually eat tomatoes now, which is shocking because my kids never liked tomatoes until they grew their own. This is dill. If this camera had smell-o-vision, you guys, it just smells, dill smells so good to me. It smells like the farm. But there's our dill plants, and you guys, I didn't plant those at all. There's actually some down in the gravel. I don't know if you can see it. They're kind of hidden under the tomato plants. But this entire row of gravel was just covered in little dill plants from last year. So apparently dill reseeds itself also. So I had maybe 3 plants last year. It dropped seeds, and we had about 150 plants this year. So, which I don't need. I only need a couple for making pickles and stuff. Let's see, what am I missing? I obviously have some weeding to do. I have to clean. These are weeds just sitting here, This is where I stash all of my plants that need to be planted yet so that they still get watered in here because there's a sprinkler system. So that's where all my dirty secrets are hiding. Basil, look, so we just got back, and all these little flowers, you should pick these off if you have them. Those just kind of make it'll make it a little more, what's the word? Bitter. So pick those off so your plants don't get bitter. Rosemary, I just made rosemary chicken last night. It was phenomenal. It was so good. I'll have to post the recipe for that. These marigolds, another thing that reseeded themselves. There were more, but they really got tilled up pretty good this year. And the beautiful Swiss chard. You guys, aren't these so pretty? So we were at the garden center when we were getting all these seedlings, and I was busy talking to people. And we got home, and all of a sudden I realized we had like an entire flat of Swiss chard and a whole nother flat of cabbage, which I would normally never get that many. And we also had a ton of broccoli and celery, which I've never grown before, but the kids must have thrown it in there, which I thought was hilarious. And I was like, well, what the heck, you know? So we planted all this celery, and it's looking pretty good. I mean, I have to weed in here a little bit, but it's looking like legit celery. Here's our red onions. My son, Duke, who's 4, planted these, and they were just those tiny, tiny little bulbs that you get at the store. They come in a bag of like 100. So you can plant them that way. And then the white onions over here, which are they're so sad how tiny they are this year. We just got them in really late. And then I didn't realize these asparagus ferns were gonna grow after I thought we had gotten them all out of here. So they shaded them pretty well. But these we planted from little sprouts that we got at the garden center. So you can do seeds, you can do little sprouts, which are easy, and you can also do bulbs, which are equally as easy. I don't find that any grows better than the other. So if you're not sure what to start with. And you can see the tops of some of these are starting to fall over, which means that we'll probably pull them pretty soon and lay them in the garage on a table to dry for about 10 to 12 days or so. And then they'll be cured and ready to hang in the basement or ready to eat right away if you want. But yep, lots fallen over. So these asparagus, this whole bed was full of them. But they only produce in the spring for like a few weeks, and then they just kind of take over the entire bed for the rest of the summer. And we wanted to plant other things, so I thought if we tilled the heck out of it, which we did. I tilled over it with the motorized tiller for at least 5 minutes, and then my husband went over it for like another 20. I mean, we went down like 8 inches, and they still came back. These are the ferns, and these ones have no seeds on them. And I think this means that they're female when they have these little seed buds on them. But this is how all these little leafy ferns, that's how they absorb the sunlight and get a lot of energy to come and grow up and produce asparagus next year. So they came just in spite of us. So anyways, so that's the garden. I hope you like it. Sorry, it's kind of a mess right now, but I figure, you know, this is what it really looks like. And maybe we'll go out and walk through the orchard later this week or maybe next week. But anyway, sorry. I could chit chat and go on and on and on about all of it. I just find it really exciting. The kids love to come out here. They probably come out here once a day or once every other day with their little buckets or little bowls and pick as many things as they can. And I, honest to God, have to give it away because I can't cook it fast enough. We eat it for lunch and dinner and everything in between, and we still have a ton of extra vegetables. So this is the size garden you need to have enough vegetables all summer for a family of 6. 6 and almost 7. So if you're thinking about doing one next year. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little garden tour. I'll do another one in the fall when all the squash and hopefully some pumpkins are in, and maybe we'll do a couple little pictures and stuff like that. But anyways, see you soon.